The greatest power you possess is your ability to choose. Join Lowe's Moore as he reveals how you can begin to maximize that power by exploring yourself on the deepest levels and committing to making lasting and positive changes. Get ready to achieve breakthroughs that will lead to accelerated growth and transformation, because you are now tuned in to the Blueprint.
Why they actions contradict the lamb. I'm fellowshipping when I'm with the fam. That's more relations. That's forming.
Good evening and welcome to the Blueprint this evening with Lowe's Moore and Patrice Moore. This is, first of all, I want to say to you guys, happy Valentine's Day. As I stated earlier, I'm changing the name from Valentine's Day to Love Day. Happy Love Day, a day about love. And so I want to say happy Valentine's Day and happy Love Day to you guys, man. We got a special show tonight. Me and my wife going to hang out, have a conversation, right? And about, our experience and for over 38, going on over 38 years of, I say marriage, but, boyfriend and girlfriend. Right, because when you keep it in that realm, right, sometimes marriage, people get old, so forth and so on. But if you stay boyfriend and girlfriend, right, notice it says boyfriend, girlfriend, right? That's an important thing in marriage, is to be a friend. And so tonight, before we get started, I want to, take care of a couple of business things here. Like, I'm going to drop my seed or pebble. This is my pebble, right? I don't know if you can see that. My pebble. I'm going to drop it in the pond, because tonight we're expecting a ripple effect, right? A pebble in a pond, a ripple effect, right? A ripple effect of love. And so I want to jump right into it. And I want to start out with my books of the week, right? I got some nice books here. If you guys get a chance to pick up some of these books, the first one is Love Dare, right? It's really connected to the movie Fireproof, right? Very good marriage teaching tool, right? As well as a good movie about faith and love. And in marriages, regardless of how long you're married, there are always challenges, and you have to have tools that are going to help you get through those rough times. And and Love Dare is a very powerful, and talking about the most important thing about that is, a three-stranded cord is not easily broken. So sometimes we try to do it on our own, right? And then we need God to make sure that we stay connected. And so the other book is Uncommon Marriage. One of my favorite coaches, Tony Dungy. Awesome book. Make sure you pick that up, man. I mean, they have an awesome story and about love and family, and pick that up. And then Bishop T.D. Jakes, right? The Lady, the Lover, and Her Lord, which is an awesome book as well. And my wife and I, we over the last few years, we have done a number of counseling, pre-counseling for marriage, counseling while individuals are in marriage. And this book here, The 5 Love Languages, is an awesome tool, right? And is for every couple, pre-marriage, engaged. This is the book to get while you're in your marriage, right? It is a book that a husband and wife or those who engage should read. So those are my books of the week. And so the next thing, I got the word of the week, right? And the word of the week is, anytime you're in a relationship, man, there must be honor one to another, honor one another. You got to honor them, respect them, right? As well as love them as well. And one word I wanted to put up there, I used this morning when we had an opportunity to share at the church this morning at Emmanuel Pentecostal Free Temple through, virtually. We talked about the word intimacy, right? And that's a very powerful word too. I wanted to throw that one in there, man, because honor and intimacy is important, because it goes back to what I said earlier about boyfriend, girlfriend, right? You must be a friend first, right? And when you become friends, you become intimate, and that relationship becomes intimate. And so I also have my affirmation of the week, Hill and Pierce Hopper affirmation moment, right? My honor is my loyalty. My honor is my loyalty, right? And as a man or as a woman, when you get up in the morning, one of the things, if you're having challenges in your marriage, right? Yeah, question your honor. My honor, have honor, right? Honor will bring you to loyalty. And so I want to say those are my books of the week, word of the week, and affirmation of the week. And so again, we're here right now. We're about to my man JB would say, let's get this thing popping, and so she needs no introduction, but this is my wife, Patrice Moore, right? And we're coming up on 38 years of marriage in August, and so and since it's Valentine's Day, right? We're going to talk a little bit from the start before we have a few pop on guests. We're going to talk a little bit about Valentine's and our experiences in our Valentine moments. As you know, the pandemic is here, and so I had a couple of friends call me this week, and they said, "Hey, Lowe's, where's a restaurant? I've been calling around trying to get to a restaurant. Give me a restaurant, man, that I can take." I said, "Oh, I'll give you one. I'm just not going to one. I mean, during the pandemic, I'm gonna stay at home." So I tried to, during the course of this week, I had made up my mind from like Tuesday or Wednesday that I think Tuesday I cooked dinner. Yeah, I cooked dinner. I made I'm trying to think of what I made. What did I make on Tuesday?
It was good, whatever it is. Sometimes you actually bought things if you cooked, and sometimes you bought things. You had the noodles. You had made the noodles with the like almost like a penny alla vodka.
Oh yeah, I made penny alla vodka. I mean, chicken and penny alla vodka. I made that. That was at least I'm not like that commercial, thinking how you like my food and everybody saying it's terrible. And but I like to think that my wife is here today, and so it wasn't all that bad, but penny alla vodka. And then I think on Wednesday, I purchased dinner, and I planned, and I had a card for each day leading up to Valentine's Day. Every morning I put a card, right where her keys, her coat, and her book, her bookcase was at, and I put it there so that as she goes out, she would get this card a Valentine's Day card every single day. And then I tried to make sure that every night she had some food to eat. And I knew everything at 38 years, what a person likes. I mean, really likes, and so I was able to get her everything, hopefully everything she liked, this week. So babe, talk to me about some of our Valentine experiences, some places that we went. You remember some of the places?
Wow, that's interesting. Because you said something, I don't know if it was on service this morning, but you said that for us, Valentine's is like every day. Mm-hmm. And so when I begin to think about some of the things that we've done over the years, I mean, we've gone places, we've gone to so many different restaurants and have done things, together. And I think we spent a lot more time really celebrating our anniversaries and the first date, so what we've done on Valentine's Day is usually sometimes we're away, sometimes we go out of town. I think a couple of years ago we were in North Carolina and we just went to like a restaurant and went out to eat, so it's just some of those times that we just kind of go places and we just have fun. I mean, to me, every day is Valentine's Day, so every day is special, with you.
Yeah, but I mean, there were, for me, I remember one of our favorite places, and I know they were fundraising just about a month ago, Birdland.
Birdland.
Yeah, I remember when Birdland, I think it was in the Bronx, right? And then it moved to Manhattan, right? And I know we had some special moments, and I'm gonna pick out one number because as you get older, you don't remember all the numbers, but I'm gonna pick out Valentine, our 13th Valentine, I think it was. Right? What do you remember about the 13th?
I don't remember about the 13th Valentine. I remember our 13th anniversary. Our 13th anniversary was the one where we did the cards and we put them everywhere.
Okay, so it wasn't Valentine.
Yeah.
Well, anniversary, anniversary is another love day.
Yes,
right.
For us.
Birthday is another love day.
Yes. Every day is a love day.
Well, yeah, every day is a love day, but there's special moments where, I remember, our first date, although I never really remember the date of the first date, but I know I always forget that one. It's like, I know it's in June.
It's June 6th.
June 6th. Okay. Our first date over 37 years ago.
It'd be 39 years.
39 years.
In this June.
Hey, men, if you're listening, husband, if you listen, don't mention any numbers. I mean, you stay safe. But I just remember our 13th, which is a love day. All those are love days. Birthdays are love days. Valentine's are love days. Every day is a love day. If you can keep that in mind, right? If you can keep that in mind, that every day is a love day. You could, guys. This is a nugget, right? My grandfather said, "Come here, son. Let me give you a nugget." Right. And then, you've seen the commercial with Damon Lillard and Kevin Love dropping dime. Let me drop a dime, man. Every day is a love day. And if you can think that every day is a love day when you wake up, right, then you will always show appreciation. And the words I mentioned earlier, you will always show honor. And, and then your time with your friend, your wife, right? There will always be intimacy.
What I remember too also about a lot of the Valentine's Day is once you became a father, Valentine's Day was like a big deal. You would always put these little baskets together for the kids, particularly for the girls. And you would always give them something special for Valentine's Day, and I thought that was always so cool. I mean, because every day was Valentine's Day, you would always, you always would find a way to send me flowers. Like this week was really cool. Like every day I was getting ready to go to work and I would find a card and I would bust out. I would get in the car, I'd bust out laughing. I'd open up my lunch bag and there was a card in it and I would just laugh. I said, it's so good. One of the things when you talk about the 5 love languages, Lowe's love language is gift giving. He's a gift giver. And so, and it doesn't have to be large gifts, but he loves to surprise and loves to give gifts. And so, that has always been, one of the things that I have, I reap the benefits of the gift giving. I mean, it's just pretty awesome. I mean, the cards are great. And this was so cool because on Friday, he sent me a dozen roses to work and I wasn't at work. so the roses got delivered to my job. And one of the ladies that works with me, Joanne, she always says that Lowe's is her husband and I'm the second wife. She always says, that's my husband. And she said, so when the flowers came and I wasn't there, she called me on the phone and said, my husband sent me flowers. And I thought it was so funny. But I got up early Saturday morning.
Yes.
At 6 a.m. and I drove to work to get my flowers because he bought me flowers for Valentine's Day and I wanted them for Valentine's Day. And so I was so grateful this morning. I got up and I brought him this teddy bear and balloons, and I put candy like everywhere, and I thought that, he had done enough for me. And next thing I know, he gives me this box, and in it is beautiful diamond earrings. And I'm like, he's just always such a gift giver and a surprise gift giver. And so I'm so grateful for that. I do words of affection. My love language is words of affection and appreciation. And so I'm constantly, telling him and showing him, but I really I would do things like, oh, baby, you look really good today. You look really we used to do things like, I remember one time we went to a banquet, and he was on the dais, and while he was on the dais, I was sitting at the table, and people didn't know we were married. So I was asking people to send notes for him. And I was like, could you get this guy over here this note, because he's really good looking, and I'd like to see if he would take me out on a date. Or if we were driving separate cars, I would pull up alongside of him in the car, and I would yell so that everybody in the neighborhood, like on the street, would hear. And I'd go, oh my God, you are so good looking. What is your name? Could you take me out? And he'd roll his eyes and say, I have a woman. And I was like, well, I can take her from you from her, I promise. And we would do all these things. So every day has been Love Day. Every year, getting the flowers. Lowe's is the type that gives me flowers because it's Tuesday, not because it's Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. So, it's a great day. But, the reality is, if you're not going to show love to your husband, wife, you're not going to show them all the time. Don't do it on Valentine. If you're not going to show love every day, if you don't have that love for that person, one day is not going to fix things. It should be, make sure that it's something that's happening on a regular basis, because to be honest with you, flowers can't fix mess. Yeah,
definitely. And, I think one of the things that, we've learned to be is to be spontaneous.
Good word.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that's
and creative.
That's what sparks a love day, or keeps love alive. And is that when you're spontaneous, when you think of, giving a gift or making something happen, a surprise dinner, a surprise opportunity to go to movies, send something to the office. To be spontaneous is a very powerful thing. And, for me, one of my favorite love days, favorite, I got a number of them, but favorite love days. And we're always competing, and it really isn't about money. People like say, oh, then my wife said, Tree said earlier, it's not about the size of the gift, or how much the card costs. It's the thought. That's powerful. But we when we first started, man, we didn't have a lot of resource. So we had to come up with things. Like when we were dating, I was a college student and she was in college, and the thing, oh no, she was in college and I was outside of college. I was out. And but I just remember I don't know, I was trying to make it in the NBA, and I wasn't making a whole lot of money. People think that because you made it NBA when I was coming up, that he was a multi-millionaire, but the average salary for an NBA player in 1980 was $40,000 a year, right? And then so when you go back and look at Walt Frazier and Willis Reed, back when the Knicks won a championship, right? The average salary was $20,000. So the thing is, you had to be a little creative. And so with me, I had a little skills to do art. So a lot of the cards, I didn't have a whole lot of time to go buy cards. So I would just buy these postage things, and then I would draw Mickey Mouse and Minnie, and then I'll put them in a card, and then I would send them to my wife with my own expressions on there. And so you got to be creative, and you got to be spontaneous in keeping that love alive.
Absolutely, and you've done a really good job. I always tell people that like Lowe's didn't, you know how some people say somebody swept you off your feet. Oh, well, he swept me off my feet, or he did this. And I always tell people that Lowe's didn't sweep me off my feet. He sucked me up in a vacuum cleaner hose. it was so quick. It was just like I couldn't believe it. It was so quick, you know that, and it was really amazing. The type of fun that we've had over the years, and I think that's been really a blessing. I mean, listen. Don't get us wrong. You know, everything isn't always, you know, perfect and wonderful. We've had our ups and we've had our downs, just like anybody else. But what you have to understand is that when you're in a relationship, when you really are connected with somebody, when you have your downs, you say to yourself, I'm really not in a place where I want to be, but this is the person I want to be in the down with. Right, because you know that person is going to bring you through, and so I'm grateful because the days that it wasn't good, the days that it was rough, you know, and we've had them, you know, we always seem to get through it, and you know, by the grace of God, you know, I tell people that you were a praying man before you and I met. You know, it wasn't like we got together and you got saved, and you know, you were saved before you and I got together. Matter of fact, you brought me into a place in Christ that I wasn't before I met you. So you brought me to a more mature place in Christ, and so I was really grateful for that. And so we've grown together over the years in our Christian walk. And I'm grateful because you keep it real. Iron sharpens iron. So, you know, we walk a lot, you know, well, he walks a lot, you know, I follow. And when I'm off, I'll walk with him. But most of the time when we're walking, we're talking about the Lord. We're talking so much about the Lord. Joanne wrote, I was nice enough to share. She said she was nice enough to share the flowers. Yeah, Joanne, you were. And so, you know, when we walk, we talk about the Lord. And I love it because iron sharpens iron. And there's times when we will go back and forth about something. And it's just really powerful. I enjoy our conversations. I enjoy the fact that we have a lot in common. So Lowe's played basketball. I play basketball, right? You know, Lowe's love the Lord. I love the Lord. So there was just so much, you know, Crystal, we love you too. And so it was just so much that was going on. But when Lowe's started playing golf, I didn't know how to play golf, right? So next thing you know, I started playing golf and I learned how to play golf, right? So some of the things that we've done over the years, we play golf. We enjoy playing golf so much that every time we go somewhere on our anniversary, we take our clubs. You know, we've been to Bermuda with our clubs, right? We're going to Atlantic City, not to gamble, but we've gone to play golf at the golf course. You know, on the hottest day, it was like 104 outside, and even the squirrels were hiding. And we're out on the golf course playing golf, you know. So these are some things. And even his friend said, I can't believe you playing golf with your wife. It's 4 hours. We go to Fayetteville every year to my brother-in-law, Lowe's brother's house, and we play golf. And we get in those golf carts and we play and we just have a good time because it's the only time we can really go somewhere and nobody's bothering us.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, so I've enjoyed all of those times with you.
Yeah. And you know, when I first started playing golf, man, I started getting a little hang of it. You know, golf, you know, everything can become addictive, and golf I started getting this feeling about playing golf every day. And I was with a couple of my friends and I said to them, man, I'm gonna get my wife some clubs. And they said, man, you gonna buy your wife some clubs? Man, we play golf to get away from our wives. We don't buy our wives no golf club. I said, well, look, me and my wife, we gonna play golf, man. This is the best time to spend 3 or 4 hours out there just talking and having fun and having a good time. And just awesome. In a few minutes, we're gonna have a pop-up, our first pop-up couple, but remember, this is interactive. So if you have any questions out there or any comments, and then we're going to be asking some questions about some different things. So we want you to be interactive, and we want you to actually pop up some things. When we ask some questions, we want you to pop it up there. And then you know, we look forward to your answers. So I want to say this just before we have, let's see, I think
so they're not backstage yet.
Nobody's backstage yet.
So let me just kind of, while you're looking and see if you can grab the folks backstage. One of the things that we brought up this morning when we spoke, and I just really wanted to reiterate it on the show today, the fact that Lowe's is, we also came from really strong family backgrounds, and we've shared this in our prior show. But my parents would have celebrated their 58th wedding anniversary this past Wednesday. They have both gone on to be with the Lord, but they would have been married 58 years. And, and I'm so grateful for them and the love that they have had for me and my sister, my brother, and raising us. And so 58 years, that's my mom. I know some people say that I look like my mom and, my dad and all the things that they did, but 58 years. And so I'm grateful for them. But I'm also grateful for my amazing mother-in-law, man. She is like dynamo. And I was sharing this morning about my dynamo mom, in that she raised 4 children. And those 4 children together have combined marriages. I believe I added it. I think it was 136 years of marriage. Let me just check that out one more time. So Lowe's brother and his wife, Gwen, they've been married the same amount of time that Lowe's and I. So that's 37 years each. So just the two of us together, we have 74 years of marriage. Tracy and Randy add 26 to that. And I believe Kurt and Carla add 32 to that. 32 to that. So with those years of marriages, man, I want to shout out to that amazing mom in love that I have for raising these children, mostly by herself and with her 2 sisters. And many times, what I loved about your mom and even my mom, like when we had issues, right, our mothers never got in our business. They never told us, what to do or tried to get involved in our marital situations. My mom would talk to me about what to do, and it would say, "That's your husband." She was always really good like that, and so I'm grateful that we had moms who understood the importance of allowing us to grow in our marriage. And so to this day, your mom is, even if you've said to your mom, "Man, that Treese gets on my nerves and she doesn't do this and she doesn't do that," your mom would never let me know that if she had any issues with me. Like, I've never had any. Maybe one time when I tried to get you to sing, with the choir, and she was like, "He doesn't want to sing, leave him alone." I think that was the only time that your mom has ever said anything, in that regard. But she's an amazing woman, and I just had to shout her out. My brother and his wife, we're 30, I'm 37, and him and his wife, 36. Married, and my sister and her husband, I think, are 31. So even with our family, we're at 106 years, of marriage. So our kids have seen marriage. Now, they've seen the ups and downs. They know that we're all not in our perfect places, right? But they understand that marriage is something to reach for, something to strive for. So we have a daughter who has an amazing husband with Dakari and Michelle. Love them. I love my son-in-law. He is amazing. I love my son Jamal and his beautiful, gorgeous wife Joy. Most people think she's just I love them. And so they understand marriage. And now Sherelle is getting ready to get married, and I love me some Steve. So we've got, kids understanding the power of marriage because of what they've seen. And so I'm so glad that we were able to put marriage in the forefront for people to understand that it's something that you can seek after and that you can work on and that you can work through, whatever you go through. So I'm grateful.
Yeah, awesome. And that's a lot of years of marriage, man. And knowing that, marriages that are from individuals that are not Christian, but just Christian marriage and non-Christian marriage are at the same percentage in regards to, I think it's 55% of divorce rate now. So it's similar whether you're in the church or out the church. Marriage has become very difficult. And, but man, the things that we're talking about is so important, you know, that we stay together and we leave a legacy, you know, of what the power and importance of family, which is one of the seven spheres of the influence inside that power family. So we got a couple popping on right now. And remember, you got any questions, please, you know, send those questions or comments. We welcome them. And now we're going to have Anthony and Kim Johnson, or Pastor Johnson and Deacon Johnson. We're going to have them on. Yeah, awesome. So I don't know if you've been listening to us, but so, you know, we want to hear from you guys. We have talked about ourselves, but you know, for you guys, how did this start? I mean, you know,
first of all, we love you. You know, we love you.
Yeah.
We love you too.
Power couple right here, you guys. You know, just amazing couple. You know, Pastor Kim and her husband Deacon, probably minister. He's got all kinds of gifts. If you've ever heard them present, they run their own marriage counseling, and Pastor Kim is not just a pastor and counsels. Pastor Kim actually has her master's in marriage and family therapy. So she understood the importance of taking it to the next level of not just doing it through pastorship, but actually going to school and getting counseling and getting training in that. And so I'm proud of her, proud of him, and I'm gonna let y'all talk, but I love them so much.
Yeah. So this is Love Day, you know, Valentine's Day. I call it Love Day. So, you know, how did it happen, man? How did it all start? When did you meet? You know,
I'm gonna let Kim start it. She tells the story better than I do.
Okay.
And so go ahead and tell the story.
So let me just give it back to you, Elders Lowe's and Patrice Moore. We are so excited about being on your podcast this evening. So thank you for that. You know that we love you both, and certainly have the highest regard of respect for you. And I just also want to say this, that we certainly learned some things from watching you, even when you guys did not realize maybe that you were being watched. You know, I shared, I think with Patrice, if that's okay, a while ago, that, you know, we would, you know, because my dad, who was the late Pastor Robert Covington, our church would fellowship with your church, Emmanuel. And there were so many times that in that fellowship, you know, we would come there and we wouldn't see the two of you. And I would always wonder, well, where, I know there are members here, where are they? And years later, as our relationship began to develop, I later came to realize that you all were parenting your children. You were supporting your children by showing up at their events. And I took that golden nugget, and I mean, it was so much more than a golden nugget. And my husband and I applied that behavior to our own family. And I thought it was really critical because, the truth be told, we grew up, or I grew up in a home where it was church. And so certainly while my mother supported different events for myself and me and, you know, my siblings, my dad was the one that was really on the front line, you know, serving the kingdom. And so it was extremely important to us that we be able to try to intertwine ministry, marriage, and for me, motherhood, you know. So we met. I like to share with people that he saw me from across a crowded room, and that's where it all began. So I was out in California back in 1998, I think, at the wedding of my mom's baby brother. And Anthony is the best friend of my mother's baby brother. She's the oldest and he's the youngest. And so during that time, it was the following day was also my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary. And because he was a family friend, which I had no idea about that, he sent a message when my uncle went to go on his honeymoon, which I think he was one of the best men. He sent a note to me through my uncle with, asking me to give him a call. It was his cell phone. And so at that time, there was certain, things that I just didn't do. I just felt like if you were serious, don't give me your cell phone number, give me your home number, because I want to know who else is living there. I want to know who's going to pick up the phone. So I did not use the cell phone. I never called him. But because he was a family friend since his childhood with my family out there, a couple days later, he wound up coming to my grandmother's house. And really, that's kind of where it started. Our first date was out there in San Diego, and he took me to see how Stella got her groove back. How about that for a first date? That's where it all started. And I'm telling you, obviously, marriage, has its ups and downs, but certainly it has been worth the ride. I'm telling you, every bit of it has been worth the ride. So that's really how it all started for us.
Wow. So any special love days, like anniversary that you guys remember? Anniversary, Valentine's Day, anyone stand out more than the other?
No, but they all special, and so they all different. Valentine's Day, always hide her card.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's the thing that we do. We hide each other's cards, and we know we're gonna have to search for it. We know it's there, but it's a scavenger hunt. And so it's always good that, every year we kind of do like a scavenger hunt. One things I know, she liked flowers, and just like, flowers, get her roses on the day. And like I said, Valentine's Day is just a day, but I love her every single day and try to provide for her, not just on Valentine's Day, but every day I can, when there's a special moment, to cherish that with her.
I'd like to ask you a quick question. You're the parents of two amazing, handsome sons.
Thank you.
And what was like for you when you became parents and couple? How do you maintain your couple relationship while you're also parenting?
It's a balance act, because we love our sons. And so, and one thing that we always want to do, we want to display our love towards them, with them, and show our love. So there's times where Kimmy said, hey, this is our day, and we have to leave the kids at home or get somebody to watch them. But like a lot of times, we like to display our love and show what love is. So when they get older, they have an example of how to treat their wives and treat young ladies. And so we try to intertwine it as much as we can. But again, there's sometimes that Kim put the holds on it and say, this is just for us. And so we spend time that way. Sure.
Yeah, I like what you said, that sometimes you got to put the hold on certain things, because I do believe that there ought to be a boundary around the marriage and then another boundary around the family. Mm-hmm. And so the children have got to know that, mom and dad need their time as well. And so we also, honestly speaking, we actually had the benefit of a very, very, very supportive family. And, I am personally, I am not of the belief, I hear sometimes when, folks get married, they'll say something along the lines of, well, I'm not marrying your family, I'm marrying you. I personally do not believe that. I think that, yes, you're marrying the person, but the family is extremely relative, because they do play a role, possibly in either the success or the demise of that marriage. And so I think family is important. And so along those lines, we actually had the benefit of my mother-in-law, Tony's mom. Actually, when we had TJ about maybe 4 or 5 months into it, because we were living in California, in Connecticut. He wants to go to California. We were living in Connecticut, and you know about that, Lowe's, right?
Yeah, I do.
Back to California, you can preach out there. And he's like, now that everybody's on Zoom, there's no issues, right? So when we first had my son TJ, my sister came up to Connecticut and stayed with us for a little while. When she left, my mom came, and then after that, my mother-in-law came, and she practically lived with us Monday through Friday, which allowed me to go back to work, knowing that my son was being taken care of by someone that I trust, someone that I love. And so with her being in the house Monday through Friday with us, we had plenty of time, as the kids were growing up, to go out, to date, because she had no issues with that. She wanted that, for us to enjoy ourselves. And so that's really how it's been for us in terms of the support and still being able to manage going out on dates. Now, as the children got older, it would seem like the dating would be more, right? But then, of course, life is taking on different challenges and you're getting involved in different things. And so that kind of started, I guess, quieting down. I don't recommend that, but it did start quieting down. Let me say that again. I don't recommend that, but it started quieting down. And, so what we did was we committed to going away, just the two of us, every year. And he's in charge of that. I don't do anything. So it's got to be wonderful. It's got to be spectacular. And so that's our time. And it works.
That's powerful and also good information, man. But I know you got something. Let me tell you something. We bought this house 2000, and as you know, when you buy a house, you don't have no money after that, right? So, so we didn't have anything, no money, zero money, So I don't know if it was an anniversary or what, I don't know what it was, but we had, and I was like, look, we're gonna do something at home. So we had dinner, right? So we dressed up like we were going somewhere. I didn't say get rid of the kids, but we got rid of the kids, and she came out in this red.
No, it was light green.
A light green dress. I don't know where that dress is today, but I mean, boy, I tell you, that was a day.
Okay, let's be nice. Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do to do what you gotta do to do what you gotta do. You know what that is. And I always tell people when I talk about that story, I say we went to the most expensive restaurant in New York, and they're like, really? And I quoted what my mortgage was. And I said, "What is that? How much it cost?" They were like, "What? That's an expensive restaurant." They didn't know I was saying that. But we made it, and we candlelight, the whole thing, So I guess what his thing is like, what are some creative things that you've done over the years that's kind of really like would encourage the folks to do something outside the box thinking? What are some things that you guys have done?
What I appreciate about this platform is the transparency, because I think a lot of times folks that are watching marriages that have stood the test of time, and they see the glory, but they do not really understand the seasons when the marriages were tested, either through a health crisis or through maybe a lack or a dip in resources. And so to be able to hear that story, I'm laughing, because actually one of the anniversary weekends, because when we first moved back, we were in Connecticut. We owned our house up there. We moved to New York for the ministry. Okay. We put our house on the market, but at the time it took our house 2 years to sell. So now the house is on the market up there. We're trying to keep that up, and we're paying about $4,000 or $5,000 a month in rent. Okay. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. Plus we have children and everything that goes along with that. So we're down in New Rochelle, and this anniversary comes up, and I knew that we were going to have to be creative because we just did not have money. And so let me tell you, we had this jar, you know, those big old water jugs where you just kind of empty all your change and the dollar. I hate to say it, just like you said, Elder Moore, we got rid of the kids for the weekend. Then it's like, okay, let's put the creative juices to work. Well, we emptied that container, and we took out all the money. And it was only probably maybe about $200. Okay. And that was the weekend that, you know, I decorate. We had a family room. I decorated the family room. You know, I had the candlelights going all up the stairs and all this other, you know, stuff. And, you know, then the next day we drove out to the beach, and we just sat out there holding hands, you know. And honestly speaking, that anniversary weekend was just as meaningful to me, and just as meaningful to our marriage. Was it meaningful to you? It was? Okay. So it was just, I just had to do a check-in. It was just as meaningful to us as all of the other times when he took me away.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, there gonna certainly be times when you know, you got to be creative.
Yeah. Well, just before you leave, I got 2 questions for you guys, and maybe you can answer them quickly. Is, you know, my wife and I, we were discussing it the other day. So what is your, and this is for the audience too. You know, when I ask these couple of questions, maybe you can answer the question. Send us something across the wire as well. What is your top 3 favorite romantic movies, and what is your top 3 favorite romantic songs?
Ooh.
And the singer?
You do the movie? Oh.
Okay, so let me see. I don't watch a lot of movies, but let me see if I can. So obviously, How Stella Got a Groove Back, because it has significance. You know, to us.
And then the song, I'm going back old school. Cutie Pie, you're the reason why. There we go. That's one. Go ahead.
You know, I don't even know that song, but I guess tonight.
That's it.
Oh man!
What's the movie that you got?
2 movies now and 2 songs.
You said we had 2 movies, 2 songs.
I'm gonna tell you one. I'm gonna tell you one. And I'm gonna make you all laugh real quick. So, my mother is watching, right?
Yeah.
Watching the show. She saw me struggling. This is how family does. She opens up our office door and she says, "Tell them for Love and Basketball."
And so the Love and Basketball. So another song, back to the old soul, Larry Graham. You won in a million.
Come on, stop
going old school. There we go. Going back to that old school side. That's it.
Of a lifetime.
Oh man! I think that's good enough right there, man.
Don't get us started. See, you get us started.
I see that.
I have a favorite song.
Okay.
And this is my favorite song, and it's by Smokey Robinson.
Okay.
And I said okay, and I think it's called Cruising.
Yeah.
That's my jam.
Wow.
Y'all got me coming all out of character on here.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, you know, I always say, you know, because they get an impression because you're a Christian, right? You don't have any romantic, you have no humor, you know, you just dry, right?
Yeah.
I say, look, man, when me and my wife is in the moment, right, I am not listening to Amazing Grace.
Come on here. But I tell you, Amazing Grace will work.
Oh, man.
I know that's right.
So, Anthony and Kim, I want to say thank you, man. Appreciate you guys popping on. We got to do this again, man. We're going to do a whole marriage piece.
Yes.
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 Yeah,
Thank you all. We love you.
Thank
love
you.
you too, and thank you very much, man. I appreciate you guys. God bless you.
God bless.
Yeah, that was fun. That was really fun.
Eric Benet.
Eric Benet, yeah, people throwing songs on there. Yeah, Eric Benet, I like him. And let's see, Maria said, "Wow,
TMI."
TMI. Yeah, keep them coming, movies and songs. Yeah,
Shumpert.
Iman Shumpert and Shumpert and his wife, and they we're gonna pop some couples up as we go along a little bit later. But we got one more pop up guest. I'm gonna invite my man Joey Holland to the show. Him and his wife. It's been such a long time, Joey. I can't even. Okay, it's Bobby, Joey, and Bobby. Man,
Hey.
Bobby, it's been a long time since I've seen you. A long time. Long time. How you doing? How you guys doing?
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Okay. Yes, we can.
Yeah. So
Yeah, we haven't seen you. You haven't seen Bobby since you were at our house.
that's right. Yeah, I did.
Maybe maybe at one of our tournaments. I can't think where we last ran across each other. You and I. She wasn't with me the last time you and I played together down in Florida, I think.
Yeah, we were in Florida. We were in
Listen,
we were in San Francisco. We were in Pennsylvania. We were in West Virginia. And you guys are in West Virginia, I hope.
We are.
Yeah. So, I mean, you heard a little bit of the couple we just had on, some friends of ours. So we were just, you know, this is a celebration of love. I mean, Valentine's Day, and we call it our Happy Love Day. And we have many of these days. We don't just wait for Valentine's. So talk to us a little bit about the audience, and a little bit about how you guys came about. And don't mention, I know you're going to mention something about Kentucky, West Virginia. I don't know how a guy from West Virginia could go to Kentucky, and I don't know how a guy from New York could go to West Virginia. I mean, just confused. So how did it all start for you guys?
Actually, Lowe's, we went to different high schools, but we were the same year. And we had a lot of mutual friends, and we had one date in high school, and it did not go well.
Okay.
She was a beautiful majorette, and I was some young guy that thought he was cool playing basketball, and egos, I think, got in the way. Anyway, she said I tried to kiss her, and she didn't want, it didn't go well. So we had one date.
Too cool, Liv. He was too cool.
So
I can't even imagine, Joey.
you talking about Joey?
You can relate. So I went off to college to Kentucky, and she went to West Virginia, and we had no contact. And when we came back home after college, or I came back home actually, she was living in DC at the time, and she came into town, and my roommate, a buddy of mine, was dating a friend of hers. And it just so happened that she came into town for the weekend and hooked up with her friend, and it was not planned, but we hooked up downtown, bumped into each other accidentally, and started a romance. I was dating a girl. I ran her off, and soon Bobby moved back to West Virginia. And
But let me tell you why.
Okay.
We were getting ready to go out, and I'm in the bathroom by myself, and I heard a voice say, "This is the one."
Ooh,
nice.
okay. I like
You know what I'm
that.
saying? And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, that doesn't sound right to me. He has a girlfriend and I'm not really into sharing.
And at the time, I was certainly not a Christian, and I think she was on a journey to find her faith, and she's told me that for the last, we've been married now 39 years, be 40 this year.
Wow.
And she has claimed that she heard a voice that told her that this is the one. So that's how we ended up getting back together, and had some rough times until I found the Lord, till He found me. So I don't know what you want me to get into there, but I can tell you, if not for God's grace, we would not be, our family would look quite different today for sure. I was not saved till I was 41 years old, Lowe's. And we'd been married 15 years, had 4 wonderful, healthy children, and I thought life was going well. I had a career in my family automobile business, and thought things, from the world's perspective, people would have thought we had things going on, and but I was, unfortunately, we're all born into sin. And until we have that conversion and have that intimate encounter with Jesus, we're living for the pleasures of the world. And I certainly was. And she had just about come to the end of her tolerance. And as God is an on-time God, he pricked my brother-in-law's heart to invite me to go to a Promise Keepers men's conference with him. And so I reluctantly tried to make excuses why I couldn't go. It was not convenient. It was in Indianapolis, Indiana. And she really gave me kind of an ultimatum. And so I went, didn't go broken, didn't go seeking. And I truly had a Damascus Road experience, a life-changing weekend. There were 50,000 men in that arena. And for the first time, I grew up going to a Presbyterian church that was just sort of, I don't know, not a lot of emotion, not a lot of spiritual adrenaline, not a lot of Bible, nobody carried their own Bible. And I saw 50,000 men worship Jesus with passion. I saw men hold hands with guys they didn't know and pray for them. And I saw men hugging one another and just loving on each other. And I witnessed men walking from the ceiling down to the altar. And I truly heard messages from these speakers, what God expects a man to be in his home. And I'm telling you, man, I was truly broken. I just had such a feeling of being a failure as a husband and as a father, because I was not leading my family. I was not the spiritual leader. I was, so I was determined that my children wouldn't grow up like me and not know anything about a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. So I came home from that meeting and wrote her a letter before I got there, and knew that obviously words wouldn't matter. It would be up to me to prove to her that I truly had a life-changing experience, an intimate encounter, and began to. We laugh about this today because I didn't know the Bible very much, but I took that responsibility as a spiritual leader to heart. And we began to have Bible studies on Sunday morning before church. We switched churches immediately, first of all, and started going to a non-denominational praise and worship church, which we're still at today, 24 years later. And but I began to get in the Word and have some kind of a message on Sunday mornings with my children, who were 13, 11, 9, and 4. And they thought I'd gone crazy. They didn't, a lot of changes went on. But anyway, my main point is, without Jesus Christ at the center of a marriage, there is no marriage. There is no love. There is no, God had to give her a new heart to forgive me, which he does. And, we are thankful. We are grateful. We are humbled. And truly, it's a testimony of God's faithfulness. Again, we celebrate 40 years of marriage this year, and I'm as much in love with her as I've ever been.
That's awesome.
So, Bobby, I know that, hey, when God tells you something, right? A lot of people say God tells them things, right? And when God tells you something, right, then he wants to fix it. He wants to get it right. he wouldn't tell you, hey, keep Joey,
Well, but that's what I said to him. 15 years later, I said, but you said this is the one. I mean, I turned around to look. It was an audible voice in me, but and there wasn't anybody there but me. So yeah, 15 years later, I said, but you said this is the one. And then it was the most wonderful thing. It was the most wonderful year. Like, my friends weren't really there, and he wasn't really there because of whatever had been going on. And but I had a peace, and it was just like God carrying me, like the footprints in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the most peaceful and wonderful year, just because I was so close to God, and I had a peace, and I didn't know what he was doing. But anyway, it was a good year when you might have thought it wouldn't have been.
How does prayer guide your life today?
Wow. Every minute. I don't want to go a minute without it.
Yeah.
I heard one of the most wonderful nuggets that I have ever heard that dictates my personal life is when at this new church that we started attending, and it wasn't very long after we had been going there, that one of the pastors preached or made a statement. He said, if you start your day without prayer, you think too much of yourself. And if we think we can get up and shower and dress and go out here into this world in our own power and our own strength, we are headed for trouble. And so it has become certainly a discipline that I do, and it's almost shameful to be redundant with God, but I don't want one day to go by without starting with thanking him for saving my marriage, for his forgiveness and his grace and mercy. And I start there and then pray for whatever, and we could do better at praying together. We do have a prayer life together, but I'm not as consistent in leading in that area as I should be.
But it's my favorite thing that we do. Besides devotions, we love to read together, but I also love it when we pray together, because I remember, I don't know how long after we got saved, I said, well, I don't know what you're praying about, but we aren't praying about the same things, So he'd have his prayer life and I'd have my prayer life. And I'm like, we need to come together and pray. So we did start that. And that's, I think, when we feel most connected.
Yes. Right. Yeah, I think that's something that's the reason why I asked. That was something that even in the midst of the pandemic has increased tremendously for us. And I know Lois said that. So I participate in this prayer call every morning, Monday through Friday. And it has, through the pandemic, it has been my life force. It allows me to wake up and it's a 6 o'clock call, but I'm up 5:30, 5:45 because I can't wait to pray. I can't wait to start my day with prayer because it shifts the frequency of my day. Instead of starting out with negativity, I'm always starting out with prayer. And so I love my prayer group. They're amazing. And so it helps me. And then on Thursdays, I pray with my church and Thursday mornings. And so what we do is when I finish my prayer call with my prayer group, then Lowe's and I pray together. And then I leave the house. So I feel so covered. Prayer has really strengthened us through this pandemic greater than I think I've ever had in my prayer life before. My prayer life has a different significance to it, and it's really empowered. That's a good word. It has empowered and enriched our prayer time and our marriage, in being able to do that together. So, I love that story that you guys gave about prayer and how salvation impacted your marriage, because I think a lot of people need to hear that. So we thank you for sharing that with us today.
Yeah. And I want to thank you for taking the time. I mean, I just popped on and sent Joey a text last night, and he's like, yeah, we will get on. So I thank you guys for taking the time on your busy schedule, and it's Valentine's Day, and you are talking to us for a few minutes, and I appreciate that. And Bobby, yeah, God speaks in multiple ways. I mean, he speaks through sometimes his dreams, sometimes his audible voice, sometimes he sends a message to somebody else. And I was the one who seen my sophomore year in college. I seen my wife, who was still in high school. I just was back home for a spring break or something like that. And she was walking down the avenue and where you shop at. And I heard the Lord said, that's going to be your wife. So God does speak like that.
He didn't tell me that right at that moment either. It took me a few years to get that.
Yeah. But
he's robbing the cradle.
What? I was really in the cradle.
Hey, you know what? God said it. I didn't.
But he waited till I got out of the cradle before he pursued me.
Yeah, she was in college. Of course, right?
That's a good thing.
But it gives you such a peace, doesn't it? Once you hear that voice, you just are at peace. You're like, okay, you said it.
Talking in the back of my seat, ain't nobody in the car with me.
But it was impressive because he actually, the reason why I knew he was telling the truth, he was able to identify my entire wardrobe, everything that I wore that day. And I remembered the ward, I knew exactly what it was. And he was like, you had this on, this on, this. And I'm like, ew. But
I didn't do anything about it then. Mm-mm. I just went back to school, and
got engaged.
Yeah, I did get engaged because sometimes the things don't. Yeah, I got engaged, but of course,
not with me.
If God has a plan, He has a plan.
Yeah,
and it all works out. So
Jeremiah 29:11, brother.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
So before you leave, I don't know if you heard with the last couple, and I've been asking the question. I mean, what's your top 3 romantic songs or romantic movies before you get off? I know you got at least 3.
Well, but before we get off, can we share this with you?
Nightlight.
Yeah, this is something that we just attended at our church a Valentine's dinner on Friday night, and our pastor talked about communication being the key to a good marriage and a healthy relationship, and we were thankful to be able to share with some of our friends there that pretty much on every evening when I come home from work, we sit down and kind of settle into a little conversation and connect about our day. And then we will read, and this isn't just a devotional like you would think. This is a devotional for couples. This is just one example. This one was written by James and Shirley Dobson with Focus on the Family. And it's got stories in it that will force conversations. So it's not just reading a devotional, and in it there are questions. And then there's a prayer at the end that you can certainly expand on. But we find that this is, as far as marriage goes, this keeps us connected.
But it doesn't have to be that book. It could be any book.
Yeah, this is the one we're doing right now.
Yeah, you've heard of this one.
Yeah, chicken. Yeah.
I mean, it's just stories is all it is. And it just triggers something that, may have happened earlier in your life, or just how you perceive the story, or, just sometimes it opens up a topic of conversation that is fun to connect on.
That's right. Yeah, definitely. Communication is the most important thing in a relationship.
Yeah, it really is. And our pastor was telling a story about, his wife will say, we really need to talk. And he goes,
what do you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about? And, he was just making a point about men usually are the lesser of the two when it comes to communication. And so we were just sharing that this really takes that question out of it. Like, what do you want to talk about? This is just good material to entertain yourselves, and it always ends up in some kind of laughter or conversation that we enjoy. Really, I'll try to do it every single evening. And now that the kids, I heard you talking about the kids getting kiddos out of the house, we're empty nesters, so we enjoy that time. And so anyway, we just thought ahead of time. We thought, what, this is really good stuff to share with whoever. If you're not enjoying that togetherness with something like that, there's Chicken Soup for the Christian Soul, or Nightlight is the name of that devotional by James Dobson and Shirley Dobson.
So our song is Endless Love. With Lionel Richie and Diana Ross.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's our favorite song.
That was on we did a
movie too, right? It was in a movie too as well.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
Brooke Shields.
We did a video presentation during our wedding, or before our wedding, and showed it at our reception. And that song was the background song, Endless Love. And so we still love to, it's on her, when I call her, it's her ringtone whenever I call her. So
like that. Yeah. So Bobby and Joey, thank you, man. It's good to see you guys.
So good to see you.
Yeah.
Let's go back to California and play ball.
No, we're not playing no ball. We can go back to California, but we can't play no ball.
I'm a terrible wife fan. What's wrong with you? Why are you tired?
My leg is broke.
How you let them score on you? Yeah, I can't do that. I'm the worst.
I mean, like, my leg is broke. You can still do it. Oh man, but anyway, thank you guys, and let's stay in touch, man. God bless you.
Absolutely.
Keep us in your prayers.
Patrice, great to see you.
Yeah, God bless you guys. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
Awesome.
We're trying to catch up to you. 40 years.
40 years. We right on the tail. We right on. 38 years. So thank you, Joey and Bobby.
So, it's really cool that when you begin to hear that. So they were talking about the movies and all those things. I'm watching all the people writing the songs and the different things that they put up there. So you had asked me that question as well about movies and stuff. So I have a whole bunch of movies that I really liked, right? So, a couple of them were like Somewhere in, what was it, a movie, The Notebook song. Yes, You and I. And I liked Somewhere in Time. Somewhere in Time is a great movie.
One of my favorites. It's awesome.
Love and Basketball, of course, because that's us, right? Yeah. Love and Basketball. Brown Sugar. War Room is great. War Room is great.
War Room is
great. Working on a marriage, and that stuff. But what was the longest ride?
The Longest Ride. Clint Eastwood's son. Yeah.
That's a great movie. So, and Lowe's movie was Bodyguard. For the life of me, I didn't see Bodyguard as a love story. But for those of you who want to know, if my husband was going to ever cheat on me, it was going to be with Whitney Houston, because he and Pastor Morris Coleman, those are the two that have a thing for Whitney Houston. Anytime, Morris says, "Don't talk about Whitney," but that's a Lowe's Whitney Houston. So he said Bodyguard, but I'm like, I don't see it. But songs for me is always going to be Flesh of My Flesh by Leon Patillo. And Leon, that was our song for our wedding.
Always and forever.
Always and forever. And
if this world was mine.
This world were mine.
World was mine.
Yeah. You supposed to get it good. So those are some things that, some songs and some the movies that we've seen. And of course, it's crazy that I would say this, but I as much as It's a Wonderful Life is a Christmas movie, it's also a love story.
It is a love story.
And
like
so
that.
it's like one of those all-time favorites that you can watch over and over again. But if you haven't seen Somewhere in Time, if you haven't seen The Longest Ride, those are great movies.
And also like Fireproof.
Fireproof is we've, as Lo said, we've used Fireproof as a movie that we show people before they're getting married. It is a great movie to really help to strengthen your marriage and the things you're going through, especially when you've been in a marriage for a while and maybe some things aren't going well and you need to try to rekindle your relationship. It's a good movie to watch to do the love dare, to really show somebody how much you love them. But this has been great. I've enjoyed, Pastor Kim, and when I saw Maria Ennis up there, who's like my big sister. Maria and Sandy got married 2 weeks before, like a month before us, maybe about 4 or 5 weeks before we did. And so they too are also in there getting ready to go into their 38th year of marriage. Wow. And so to think about, even some of the people that we've been close to and that we've grown up with, have been in marriages. I think about after my brother, I think it was, who got married, my cousin Kathy and Junior got married, and they're coming up. I think they just experienced, their 37th or 36th or 37th wedding, Mike and Cint, so we were kind of like some of the ones that we started off in getting married, and then a lot of other people came behind us and got married, it was afterwards.
It was like a domino effect, when you hanging out with your buddies, hanging out with your girls, and all of a sudden, man, out of nowhere, everybody's just like, we just hanging out, man. We're not thinking about marriage. And all of a sudden, one person in the beginning of the dominoes, it happens, and we were like the domino effect. We got married, and man, we pushed over all the dominoes. Our brothers and sisters started getting married. Everybody started getting married. It's like a domino effect, which was very powerful for the family, because it brings your family closer and closer together. And, it was just an awesome time. We also have some pictures of, because one of the things, being a professional athlete or entertainer or somebody in the big business world, stuff like that, man, there's a lot of temptation, a lot of tests. Right. And we're going to pop up some couples that
Ozzie Davis and Ruby.
We're popping up some couples that we thought that, they were just inspirational to see them, go through life and love each other and just awesome. Ozzie Davis was just an awesome. Had a chance to meet Ozzie Davis and Ruby D.
They were at our table when several years ago. I think Lozy was a little boy, and they were just so amazing. They were so friendly and amazing and funny, So may they both rest in heaven.
And then the Obama is just awesome. Awesome, man. Every time they showed it in his presidency and in his 8 years, man, we saw the love of those two individuals at the highest level.
Yeah, he looks at her like, that's my queen.
Yeah, that was just an awesome look, man. That was an awesome picture right there. And then always Ashford and Simpson. I mean, God rest his soul. Man, they sung. They wrote about love.
Yeah, right. Like an eagle protects his nest.
Yeah.
For you, I do my best.
Yeah,
that was their song. Yeah, that was good. That was
good. They were awesome. An awesome couple too.
Yeah. David and Tamala Mann.
Yeah, Mr. Brown.
Oh yeah, Meet the Mans. Yes.
Meet the Mans. Steve Harvey. Yeah, just awesome couples, man. Mandela and Winnie Mandela.
Yeah, they didn't last long. After he came out of jail, things didn't go all that high.
Yeah, but
they were a powerful couple in the beginning.
They went through. She went through something that was just amazing, man. To stick by his side in the midst of all that, it had to be very traumatic. But there's power.
Blair
Underwood and his wife. Power couples. Yeah, these just awesome.
Oh, George Lucas and Melanie Hobson. Now she is an amazing financier, and of course, you know George Lucas did Star Wars, and they're like now that's a power couple right there.
Yeah,
that's a power couple,
without a doubt.
Sure.
Yeah. Robert De Niro and his wife. Yeah, just.
Yes.
Yeah, so JB Spook,
Shaw, yeah,
JB and Shaw.
Oh, Tom Hanks. Yes.
Yeah.
Man, he's done a lot of things. Oh, there's our man.
Denzel
Let me tell you
Washington
something.
and Pauletta.
You know what I love about Pauletta? I'll be honest with you. I tell people all the time that I remember when he did The Preacher's Wife. And, you know, I always said to Pauletta, I said, man, you know, you're amazing. She's an amazing woman because, you know, you got a lot of people out there wanting your husband, you know. I said, but, you know, he always gives honor to her. Whenever he speaks about her, he calls her his boss.
Yeah,
he calls his boss, you know, but she is so amazing. When we went to LA the one time we went to the house, and you know, I said to her, listen, if you when your kid's in New York and my son's in LA, so if anything goes down, we have to like make sure that we get each other's kids.
Yeah.
And she said to Lozy, you could come to the house and you know, you want to come. I don't cook, but I'll shop. You can shop. No, she said I'll cook, but I don't shop.
Right.
So you shop for the food, I'll cook it.
Yeah.
And Lozy never took her up on it, but I bet you she would have taken good care of him because she's a North Carolina girl.
Yeah,
I know she can cook, you know.
Yeah.
But truly, you know, it is good. And when I think about, you know, our friends and family, like marriage is something that I do believe is honorable. And so as we were sharing today, even on the word that, you know, there's so many different types of love, right? And so you want to talk about, you know, the brotherly love, right? The philos love, right? And that's the love that you have brother to brother, you know. But, you know, the other thing is that, you know, you've got, you know, the love between family, you know, mother and son, father and daughter, you know, brother and sister. You've got that love, right? And then you've got the eros love, right? And that's the love that is the romantic love. You know, that's the love that, you know, a husband has to his wife. You know, and then you have agape, right? And that agape love is that unconditional love. And so I'm grateful because with you, I feel that I have all of those. I have all of those things. The agape, you know, the unconditional love. I have, you know, the eros love. I have the philos love, the love like that you have between Christians and then the family love. And so I'm grateful that we were able to, our love has matured over the years. I used to wonder when people say things like, I love you more than I did yesterday. I used to be like, well, how is that possible? But you do. You love a person more than you did the day before. In the 5 love languages, they talk about that when people first fall in love, like you don't see their mistakes, right? Because you just love them, right? They can chew loud, you know, they could leave the toilet seat up. You know, you don't see any of these things when you first fall in love because everything is just wonderful. And then all of a sudden, after you be there for a while, you're like, why you always leave the toilet seat up? Why you all of a sudden the things that didn't seem to be a problem all of a sudden become a problem, but they were there the whole time. Yeah. You know, because as we become,
it's called infatuation.
You know, as you come over time, over a period of time, things you start things that irritate you that didn't irritate you before, or maybe you tolerated the irritation. Right? Because you wanted the outcome. You wanted to be married, right? So you tolerated an irritation. And then by the time you get married, after a period of time, the irritation becomes bigger than the love, right? And then it causes people to have problems. So you need to communicate these things in the very early stages so that it doesn't lead to a person wanting to leave in a marriage because of something that could have easily been rectified.
Yes. Yes. So I want to go back to a moment. Right. One of my favorite moments was the anniversary of the Love Day 13, when I got really confused because I woke up and my wife gave me a card, and it started from like the first time we met. And that day, throughout that day, everywhere I went, someone was giving me a card for 13 years. I mean, all day long, people would, I go to, you know, go somewhere in my job, or the Boys and Girls Club, and I come back to the desk and there's another card. until there was 13 cards representing the 13 years that we had been together. And each card had a for 13 years, it had a story in it. And I was like, wow, I mean, what do I do?
That was one of my finer gift giving moments.
Yeah. I was confused because I didn't know what I could do, right? What I could do to match this. And I knew that we had to go to dinner.
That's the red dress.
That's the red dress. There was a green dress and the red dress. and I knew we were going to Birdland that evening. So I mean, I went out and I bought 13 gifts.
Yes, you did.
I did. I bought, and some were a little expensive, some were inexpensive, but they, I picked them out well, right? And I think I started at the dinner table and I started giving gifts, right? And then when we finally got home, of course, we had gotten rid of the kids, I think.
Yes, Lena babysat the kids and she set up all the rest of the gifts.
Yeah, she set up all the rest of the gifts. So I did end up buying 13 gifts, right? And the gifts leading up the stairs with the rose petals and all that kind of stuff like that, all the way up the stairs. So
you good.
That was the challenge. That was good. That was the challenge to come up. 13 cards that talked about our life for 13 years. I said, man, I don't know if I can beat this, because we're always in competition, with these things. This is competition. I have to be better. I got to do better than that, and that was a great night. I don't know where that red dress is either, but I don't know where the green or red dress.
That dress was so. Lena said to me, "You need to put this dress on." That dress was so good. We were walking down the street holding hands, and a man stopped him and said, "Is that your wife?" He said, "Yeah." I was like, "How are you gonna stop my husband while we walking down the street?" That dress was a nice dress.
No, you was awesome. You was awesome. That's my word. Awesome. That was an awesome time. And then, if you could just tell, we got a few more minutes. You could just tell that one.
Does anybody have a question that they want to ask us?
Yeah.
That they want to run across the screen. Does anybody have a question? Yes, Maria, that's a pretty grandbaby you got. That's the funny thing. A lot of us have become grandparents this year. I see you, Clarice.
Take your notes.
Yes, take those notes, girl. So let me tell you, this is the one thing. There are a lot of people that have watched the show today that are not married, or maybe are single again, or single. And so what I've told people before is, you gotta, in being specific in what you want. I remember when I was young, there were certain things that I wanted in a husband, right? And I said, I didn't want somebody that smoked. I didn't want anybody that drank, and I didn't want anybody that cursed. Those were my things. That was the thing that I wanted. And the thing that God prepared that situation, just for me, because for me, those were turnoffs. Those were things that I just did not want. And so to find that, when I met you, or when we finally got together, it was just like God had etched you out in everything that I had desired. And so, when you're single and you're trying to find that right person, you've got to understand. I've told people before, sometimes you'll have somebody in your life and they not treat you right, or they're doing something wrong. You marry that person. Mm-hmm. And I said, you knew what was in that package before you married it. You unwrapped it before you married it. Be very careful. But when you decide to go down that lane, you need to really make sure that you're understanding who this person is. Are they a person that's your friend? Because to be honest with you, and I shared this even this morning, sex might be good, but the older you get, if you don't have conversation, you don't have a friendship with this particular person that you're married to, things can go in many different ways. So I would always encourage somebody, if you're single, find somebody that you can be a friend with. And as you become a friend, you'd be surprised that there's people right under your nose that would probably have been a good spouse, that you didn't think that they were good enough to be a spouse, or you didn't think you were good enough, and you don't even realize the whole time that you were really friends. You and I were friends before we ever became, interested in each other, and that's what has made our marriage amazing.
Yeah.
1 minute to go, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, we got 1 minute to go, and I want to say thank you to to Anthony and Kim Pastor Kim and Deacon Anthony Johnson. And I want to say to Bobby and to Joey, you know, who were awesome tonight, man. And for all the questions and, you know, and all the comments and all the support, you know, enjoy this day of love, you know. And as my godson always says, Jamal, you know, before you can love.
Great job, Clarice. Excellent.
Yeah, before you can love somebody else, you got to be able to love yourself. You know, loving yourself is important, you know. And so, again, thank you. Looking forward to next week. Camille Banks Lee will be my guest next week. And then following her would be the world record holder in the 400 and Olympic gold medalist, Butch Reynolds, will be on. And I'm looking forward to it. And thank you for tonight, and happy Valentine's Day, happy Love Day, right, to each and every one of you. God bless you.
God bless you.
And have a good evening.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Lowe's More, the BluePrint podcast. Stay connected and follow us at our website, www.lowesmore.com. That's LOWESMOORE.com. You can also join the discussion on Twitter at Lowe's More and on Facebook at Lowe's More Jr. As always, thank you for pushing your mindset towards a better reality. This concludes the most thought-provoking portion of your day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast to stay fully up to date with everything we're up to. Until next time, be kind to yourself and each other.
What they teaching is a joke. I ain't buying it like I'm broke. Insufficient funds for insignificant.